So the first thing that we do is we find some wire that is not too thick. A coat hanger is actually a little too thick. I had mentioned using a coat hanger in the comments on Pockets of the Future's video on oil lamps, and I mentioned that to Randall here, who's making this, and he said that's a little too thick. So we had some wire around here, just random wire that we found, and it's pretty easy to work with. So you don't want it too thin or it won't hold up and hold the wick in place. If it's too thin, it just falls over too easy. So you need a little weight to it. So he takes a 3/16 diameter shaft, and that's what he uses to create the coil that holds the wick. Now what he's doing is he has made he's taken a dowel and he has created a groove in the top that he slips the wire into so he can work with creating the base, work on creating the base. And he uses a screw and a washer to hold it in place. Once he gets it in there, he just tightens it down, as you can see here. It's his little invention to make things easier, and there's probably a million ways to do it, but this is the way that he figured out works best for him. And of course the dowel would have to be the size that you want the base to be, and the base would pretty much depend on the size of the container. And like a jar could be pretty big, a small dish might be smaller. And he wraps that around and creates the base, as you can see here. And here is the finished product. And he just wants to get it so that the base is flat enough that it doesn't wobble. And that's it. And then you just set that down in your little dish or your jar. And there is a handle that he's going to fix here so you can have something to grab. So here is the wick material. It's just some kitchen string. And what I'm going to do now is have my mother hold one end of it. And then I'm going to twist. And once I've twisted it enough, I will grab the middle of it and then let the two ends meet, and they'll twist together in the opposite direction, which creates the wick. Grab it in the middle, fold it over, let it go, and it twists together and you have your wick. Works really, really well. I don't dip it in wax or anything. As long as you soak it adequately prior to lighting it, maybe even for a half hour, just let it sit in oil, it will burn beautifully for hours. It's wonderful. And I prefer not to use olive oil. It smells. I don't like the smell of it after, well, mostly afterwards, when you blow it out. It just has a really strong odor. I use sunflower or safflower oil because it doesn't smell. It doesn't have a tendency to have any odor at all, really, that I've noticed. So just light your oil lamp and you're good to go. Just a quick note, make sure that your oil remains at the base of the coil that holds your wick as much as possible. Continue to refill it little bits at a time, and your flame will burn a long time. If you let it go down too low, it's gonna just burn up the cotton of the wick and it won't last that long.